नमस्कार दोस्तों, जितने भी स्टूडेंट्स इस समय लाइव आ गए हैं, ये है एक स्पेशल क्रैश कोर्स क्लास और ये क्रैश कोर्स क्लास सभी के काम आने वाली है। सो मेक श्योर इसको चाहे आप डाउनलोड कर लीजिए या अलग से सेव कर लेना, क्योंकि वी आर गोइंग टू टच अ लॉट ऑफ टॉपिक्स. I am going to deal with all important writers who are recently asked in exams, or the concepts which are really important, and along with these things, postmodern authors to some important other authors related to cyborg literature and queer theory. In short, इस सेशन में बहुत कुछ होने वाला है, तो make sure इस सेशन को आप मिस ना करें. So, the title of this session we have is the simple title. ये आपका एक सिंपल सा सेशन है. It will be a slow session but most effective session. So it will be a slow session, but most effective session for crash course. And please remember this thing: we are in the last days of exam, so you just have to write down these things and mug up. Remember, last timings hai, we have limited time, so we have to make sure that we are taking these things directly in the brain. यानी मगअप करना है डायरेक्टली. मैं कोई रिकमेंडेशन नहीं दूंगा कि टेक योर टाइम टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड गो इन द डेप्थ एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स. उसका कोई टाइम नहीं है हमारे पास. सो व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज आई एम गोइंग टू यूज माय नोट्स and most important references which have been asked. First thing that you have to write down, we are going to deal with some authors who have recently been asked in exam. कृपाबाई, उनके प्रॉपर नाम लिखते जाना दोस्तों. कृपाबाई सत्यानधम, SATTHIANA, SATTHIANA, DHAN. ओके, ये नहीं होगा. सो यू मस्ट बी थिंकिंग, सर इसका तो स्पेलिंग ही बहुत अजीब सा है. तो यस, this writer is one of the most unknown writers, primarily the writer, the part of translation writings in Indian literature. She has been asked in 2023. Paper net ka hai 2023, shift 1, Marathi author she has been asked. The famous work that has been asked in exam is Saguna, जो कि कहानी पेपर में आ चुकी है, तो आपको लिखना है. She's a famous Marathi writer. She has been translated. The question that has been asked in 2023 net exam, shift 1, 2023 के एग्जाम में ये आ चुका है. रैंडम राइटर्स, अननोन राइटर हैं. इनकी फेमस बुक का नाम है शगुना. It's a famous book. Saguna is a famous book that is written by her. Now, the book publication was in 1895. The book was published by 1895. First autobiographical novel in English written by an Indian woman. So point to be noted, 1895, this is the publication. And what is this? First autobiographical novel. First autobiographical novel in English written by an Indian woman. Point to be noted. इसको note कर लो. I am going to give you the direct answers or direct questions. So mug it up. Ratta maro. No need to go in the depth now. We don't have that much time. I teach these things in offline batch. I'm sharing it with you now as I provide them updated content. Make sure you write down this name. थोड़ा सा मैं साइड भी हो जाता हूँ. कृपाबाई स्थानीधनम, famous book Shaguna, 1895. First autobiographical novel in English. First autobiographical novel in English. First autobiographical novel in English. We are going to have a lot of questions like this. Okay, now the next point. Please add this thing. This novel deals with the story of people who have been converted to Christianity. So Saguna is a girl. This deals with her life. She has been converted to Christianity. So, being an autobiographical novel, it deals with the story of a girl who has been converted to Christianity. Who has been converted to Christianity. Who has been converted to Point to be noted. They can ask you a simple question. Pick the famous Marathi writer who has written the first autobiographical novel in English where a character is converted into Christianity. पेपर में आ चुका है. I am picking the PYQs directly 2023. Same writer, next book. So I believe you have written. Same writer, next book. Kamla. As she has been asked once, so let's go for another book by the same writer. What if they ask another book? So another book that she has written is Kamla. The publication of Kamla is 1894 and it deals with a story of Hindu life. Story of Hindu life. 1894. 1894. Story of Hindu life. 1894. First story to deal with a girl who has been married in childhood and who fights for her divorce. Kamla deals with the story of a girl called Kamla. She has been married in an early age, childhood marriage, and her fight for divorce is the main story. Divorce, childhood marriage, and Hindu family life. These are the themes. So make sure you remember that. ये direct question है, इसको भूलना नहीं है. Now, the next one. Shevanti by M. Nikambe. Another famous author we are going to deal with. Another famous author we are going to deal with. Shevanti by M. Nikambe. Shevanti by M. Nikambe. Another famous Marathi writer. Again, the question 2023 UGC NET exam. Question has been asked. She is a Marathi Brahmin writer and she is the first woman to find a school for high caste wives, widows, and group of Hindu girls. First woman to find out, the founder of a school for high caste Hindu women who are either girls or who are separated, who are divorced. So first female author who found a school for high caste Hindu women. She was also a Brahmin writer. Famous book is Ratnabai. Her famous work that has been asked in exam is Ratnabai. These famous writers are in translation. Ratnabai. Famous book, Ratnabai. A sketch of Bombay high caste Hindu wife. A sketch of Bombay high caste Hindu wife. Bombay high caste Hindu wife. See, these writers are very much unknown writers. I must tell you this thing, when even I attempted those questions, for me it was also that these writers are random writers. So we cannot say that, okay, they have asked these random writers, so we have to go for all the random writers. If there are 2-3 random writers they have been asked and then we go for all the random writers, that will be a bad way of studying. उसमें फिर कभी qualify नहीं होगा. Point to be noted is, there is a point. Main canonical syllabus should be on your tips. अगर आपका main syllabus tips पे है, if you have your main syllabus on tips, then these random writers can be prepared. So in any situation, don't forget to read main crux syllabus. जो मेन सिलेबस है आपका, you should know T.S. Eliot, you should know Virginia Woolf, you should know Dickens, you should know Chaucer, you should know Shakespeare, Milton, and all other famous writers. You should know American writers, Indian writers, then culture studies, theories, and other things. याद रखना, this is the point. Main syllabus, main canonical syllabus should be on your tips. Then these random writers can help you to go for JRF. Okay? Technically, this is not a proper syllabus. These writers are random writers. They come in exam, they make the paper tough, and they sometimes break the dreams. लोगों के सपने तोड़ देते हैं. These two questions will take your 4 marks away, and people will miss it. But make sure remember that. And yes, these writers are the part of translation writings. ये translation writings के part है. Now the next one that you have to read, write is Rajlukshmee Debee. Again the question from 2023 net. Again the question from 2023 net. Rajlukshmee Debee. Another question, Rajlukshmee Debee. She has been asked. Her full name is Rajlukshmee Debee Bhattacharya. She won All India Poetry Competition in 1991. 1991. All India Poetry Competition. She won All India Poetry Competition. Now, see this. The famous work that she has written is Personal Man, Personal God. This is the famous non-fiction. Personal Man, Personal God. Personal Man, Personal God. That's what you have to remember now. इसको भी याद रखना. Then, as there are so many questions from Indian writings in last NET exam, that's why I'm taking you for this extra knowledge. There are some groups of writers called expatriate writer. So now we have a group here, expatriate writers. So first question that comes is, who are expatriate authors? Write in the comments. Let's see if you have this knowledge about it. If you know about these people, tell me. Who are these expatriate writers? Because I'm going to talk about Indian expatriate authors. Tell me. By the time I'll take my remote, AC remote. Waiting for your comments. Come on. See, the writers who are no more living in their own countries, either they have been exiled, they are expelled, they are fearing the government, and they are staying somewhere else. These expatriate authors are somehow connected to diaspora authors also. Now, for the first time, I can give you a guarantee. मैं आपको guarantee दे सकता हूँ. 99.9% people who are watching this thing, they are going to study expatriate authors in Indian literature for the first time. आप पहली बार यहाँ करने वाले हो. Yes, Himanshi has given the right answer. So let's go for these expatriate authors. Deena Mehta. Deena Mehta. Normally I study these things for my own preparation. I read these things for my own readings. But as they are asking a lot of questions from these people, so I thought I should teach it to all my students. Then Firdaus Kanga. Firdaus Kanga. Then, these are my personal notes. Firdaus Kanga, Rohinton Mistry. Rohinton Mistry. Rohinton Mistry, multiple questions have been asked. The famous Parsi writer. Farooq Dhonde. Farooq Dhonde. First, I thought I'll come with a special video on this thing, but then, these people are not really very important. But now, if they ask questions, they can trouble you. Bapasi Sidhwa. Famous book, Ice Candy Man. So these are some authors of expatriate novel writers from India. Make sure you don't forget them. Inko nahi bhulna. I'm using my personal notes for all of you. I read something for me sometimes, which is not important for net, but I read. Right now, why I'm sharing all these Indian writers' special details? Last net exam, Indian authors, 18 June exam, Indian authors were asked, Indian chronology was asked. So if they repeat it again, I want you to be prepared with this thing. So this is the reason this session is going to be very helpful for all of you. ये सेशन का 1 मिनट भी ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आपको लगेगा कि ये तो मुझे पहले से आता था, या अगर आप मेरे ऑफलाइन ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट नहीं हो तो, because these people already have these things. Then the next point that you have to write down is Gurcharan Das, and you'll be surprised he has also been asked 2003 shift 1. Gurcharan Das, his famous work Lawrence Sahib. Gurcharan Das has been asked in 2023 shift 1. Famous work Lawrence Sahib. It is one of his first play and it is a historical novel. It is a historical novel that deals with Raja Ranjit Singh from Punjab. The story of Raja Ranjit Singh. It's a historical novel. Then the next one, famous writer Ahmed Ali. Famous writer Ahmed Ali. Famous book Twilight in Delhi. No need to read their details now. Abhi time nahi hai. Otherwise, I would have given you the details of these people. As we provide the details in our proper classes, right now you don't have to go for it. Twilight in Delhi, 1940. मैं read कर देता हूं आपके लिए. It is the first novel in English that deals with colonialism, Old Delhi, lives of Muslims. E.M. Foster got it published in Britain, Hogarth Press. Name of the hero is Mir Nihal Sahib and his life. It is compared to the downfall of Mughals. It is just like Anita Desai's In Custody that deals with the downfall of Urdu. So, if you want to write, you can just write it. That this book was published with the help of E.M. Foster. E.M. Foster helped many Indian writers to get their books published. So, you can write down this point. Then, the famous author Agha Shahid Ali. The famous writer Agha Shahid Ali. The famous writer Agha Shahid Ali. Famous book The Country Without Post Office. The Country Without Post Office. There are many questions asked from this man. We have posted on YouTube and Instagram also about this man, the questions which have been asked in exam. The Country Without Post Office, that you have to write down. Repeating once again for all of you, as this is a crash course class, it is just a capsule content class. I am not teaching. मैं पढ़ा नहीं रहा हूं. I am not explaining. I am just giving you direct notes. कम समय में ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा pointers, right? So make sure you remember all these things. The Country Without Post Office. You can watch one of my YouTube video जहाँ पे मैंने कश्मीर के बारे में कुछ lines बोली थी. I spoke some lines about Kashmir. Let me cry out in the void. Say it as I can. I write on that void. Kashmir, 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 Kashmire, Kashmire, Kashmire. I have posted this thing. Offline batch में जिस दिन पढ़ाया था, the day I was teaching this thing in offline, I posted that video. So remember this name. Don't forget this name. ये बहुत important है. It deals with the life of Kashmir, condition of Kashmir, life in Kashmir, condition of Kashmir. And this book is also controversial. This book is also controversial. Done with this note. Many of you already have my personal notes, right? Now, let's go for some advanced topics. West Bengal set, and the question that has been asked is, the first tragedy, Gorboduc. Now we are switching to other authors, other things. Gorboduc, the first tragedy ever. First tragedy in English literature. First tragedy drama. First drama. In English literature, please remember this thing, Gorboduc was written by two authors. Thomas Sackville, Thomas Norton. The timing is approx 1561. In some books, you will find 62. In some books, you will find 1561. In some books, you will find 1562. Point to be noted, Gorboduc is called the first tragedy drama written by two authors, Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. The most important thing is, there is a subtitle of the story. Ferex and Porrex. This is the question of exam. What is the subtitle of Gorboduc? First tragedy, first drama, first tragic story. Make sure you remember that. Ferex and Porrex is the name of the boys. ये दोनों के नाम याद रखने हैं आपको. And I'll also suggest to remember this. It is also called the first blank verse tragedy. This is also called the first blank verse tragedy. If they ask you a smart question, which book is called first blank verse tragedy? We are giving you free crash course classes, so download the app. You just search the app Sahitya classes. So you will find two apps. There will be two apps. One especially for Google Drive. Another one is for normal classes of online and crash course. So you will find Sahitya classes, Trigger Gate. Find it, download that, because all the other free live classes of crash course will be done on app. तो बाकी classes आपको सारी जो exam तक free हैं वो app पे मिलेंगी. There are a lot of free classes posted, a lot of free Google Drive classes are posted, a lot of PDFs and test series are already given. That is on app and it is free of cost. Now, let's go for the next point. The next point that you have to write down is the most famous postmodern, post-apocalyptic writings. Please, let's go for this thing. When you study postmodern authors, many of you are preparing postmoderns, many of you are studying postmoderns. Thomas Pynchon पढ़ लिया होगा आपने. You must have read Thomas Pynchon, you must have read Angela Carter. Postmodern, apocalyptic authors. So if you have read famous writers like Gunter Grass, Angela Carter, if you have read Salman Rushdie, if you have read Thomas Pynchon, if you have read Don DeLillo, here we are going to talk about the most celebrated post-apocalyptic authors, postmodern apocalyptic authors. We can also call this thing apocalyptic fiction. This is also called apocalyptic fiction. Normally, students coming from state areas, small town, they are not taught about these things. Normally, these things are taught in top universities. So, first question, what is apocalyptic fiction? What is apocalyptic style? Yeah, apocalypse kya hai? So, most important thing, first, the life when the world has come to the end. दुनिया खत्म होने के आसपास की life. Apocalyptic fiction deals with the end of the world situation. End of the world. For example, all your zombie movies. या आपके nuclear disaster or great flood. Like, have you ever wondered about this thing? Right now, a lot of countries are fighting. Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, right? Fights are going on. What if they just start firing nuclear? Nuclear fire अगर शुरू हो जाए तो क्या होगा? You and me are not going to study. We will be in search of food, and then soon the day will come. We will start eating animal. Then we'll start eating each other. एक time आएगा हम आपस में एक दूसरे को खाना शुरू कर देंगे. So the most important thing, the writers who have talked about dystopia, they started talking about a life when the world will come to an end. So technically, apocalyptic fiction deals with the situation, end of the world, mostly after nuclear blast, great flood, or some other thing like that. You have watched a lot of Hollywood zombie movies, virus, corona, all these things. They are actually apocalyptic things. Now, I'll give you a reference. Then Wife of P.B. Shelley, Mary Shelley, right? You remember her? Wife of P.B. Shelley, Mary Shelley, wrote The Last Man. She wrote this book in Romantic Age. The Last Man was set in 21st century. It was set in 21st century and it deals with an epidemic. People thought how this writer knew that in 21st century we will have corona. इसे कैसे पता COVID-19 आएगा? She wrote that thing, The Last Man, in Romantic Age, around 1791, 1792. And she talked about 21st century and an epidemic. दुनिया खत्म हो जाएगी. The world will collapse. World will come to an end. So these kind of books, these kind of concepts are talked in apocalyptic fiction. Here we are going to write down most important works. Most important and highly celebrated famous apocalyptic novel is The Road. Pulitzer Award winner. Movie bhi bani hai is pe. There is a movie also. It is by Cormac McCarthy. Please don't forget this. Cormac McCarthy. It is The Road. The famous Pulitzer Award winning. The famous Pulitzer Award winning author. The Road by Cormac McCarthy. The timing of The Road is 2006. You should read the summary. It's important. A father who is trying to save his son keeps on saying, we are good people, we are good people, we are good people. Finally, father is taken away by the zombies and son is saved by someone. So you can read the summary. I'll recommend you use Spark Notes. You can read it. Then the another famous work, I'm sure you have watched the movie. आपने movie देखी होगी, by Richard Matheson, I Am Legend. अंग्रेज हमसे बहुत आगे चल रहे हैं. हम लोग अभी भी प्यार मोहब्बत दिखा रहे हैं कहानियों में. And they are dealing with Will Smith. Have you watched the beautiful movie Will Smith All Alone with the German Shepherd? I Am Legend, converted into a movie. The famous book 1954, Richard Matheson. Richard Matheson, 1954. You know why I read like this? Because if they ask one question, I'll read everything. So they asked The Road, I started reading everything. Postmodern apocalyptic fiction is important. They can ask you questions. So make sure to remember this. Then the another famous book dealing with post-apocalyptic fiction is by Margaret Atwood, Canadian author. The name of the book is Oryx and Crake. Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood, the mother of Canadian writing. Famous Canadian author, double Booker Award winner. Don't forget to read her famous book Handmaid's Tale. Don't forget to read her book The Blind Assassin. Don't forget to read the book The Power, Politics and Surfacing. Edible Woman and other books you can avoid. Plus, make sure you don't forget this writer. She is the mother of Canadian writings. Now, the next one we have is Donna Haraway. 3 questions. 1 question in NET exam, 1 in Jamia PhD, 1 in JNU PhD. Very important work. We are dealing with cyborg literature. Had it been a proper class, I would have taught you this in detail. But right now, as we are dealing with the crash course purpose, direct capsule content, please remember this thing. The famous author Donna Haraway. Also, the first author, she said that all human beings are cyborgs. She said, "Hum bhi robot hain. We are advanced robots. We advanced robots have been given genes, DNA, bones, and a system to reproduce." So she says that even all human beings, all living organism, we all are robots. We are just advanced level robots. So point to be noted here, Cyborg Manifesto 1985, her famous book. Cyborg Manifesto 1985. Multiple questions have been asked. Please don't forget this book. अगर मैं आपकी जगह हूं तो मैं ये किताब गलती से भी भूल के नहीं जाऊंगा एग्जाम में. If I'm going to exam, I will remember Donna Haraway, I'll remember Cyborg Manifesto, I am going to remember 1985. Last net exam 18 June, there were many classes where I said ये आ सकता है, ये आ सकता है, ये आ सकता है, and they all came. तो मैं सजेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, डोंट फॉरगेट दिस थिंग, क्योंकि साइबॉर्ग मैनिफेस्टो या इलेक्ट्रिकल लिटरेचर, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक लिटरेचर में अगर ये नहीं आया तो फिर कुछ और आने के ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. देन द नेक्स्ट वन वी हैव इज queer writings, LGBT queer writings. 2 questions were there from gay literature. What if they ask more? So let's prepare for this exam. This is my style. If they give you hint, catch that hint. There were 2 questions asked from gay literature. So I posted a video on gay literature, and right now I'm going to tell you most important books which are dealing with LGBTQ studies, or we can simply say theory. इन किताबों के नाम लिखे हैं. Number 1, everybody knows, I'm sure आपको भी पता है, famous writer and mother of queer studies Judith Butler. Famous writer and mother of queer studies Judith Butler. Famous book Gender Trouble. Famous book Gender Trouble, 1978. Judith Butler. Second book. And the another publication in English is 1990. So go for 1990 only. इनकी local publication नहीं जाना है. 1990. Then Michel Foucault, the famous author himself, the famous homosexual author himself, and the famous book History of Sexuality. History of Sexuality. Don't forget this book, 1976. History of Sexuality, 1976. Don't forget this thing. Judith Butler is called mother of queer studies. इनके नाम नहीं भूलना, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Now, बहुत बढ़िया देवाशीष, you're right. Gender is not fixed, it's dynamic. Yes, recently Paris Olympic, in boxing ring, a female boxer gave up and said the another female boxer is not a female. And yes, she was disqualified earlier in India. दिल्ली में जब गेम्स हो रहे थे, she was disqualified. They said the chromosomes you have is not the chromosome of female, it is the chromosome of male. So technically you don't know who is a girl, who is a boy. कभी सोचा ऐसा? We are moving towards next level. अब तो ये भी नहीं पता चलेगा आपको कि लड़का एक्चुअली लड़का है या लड़की एक्चुअली लड़की है. Remember my famous video on Kerala couple? My famous video on Kerala couple? The first trans-sex humans. So watch that video if you don't know. Go for next one. The next writer we have is Eva Kosofsky. Another highly celebrated author. Eva Kosofsky. मैं इसको कोफोस्की बोलता हूँ कई बार. Eve, okay. Kosofsky. Kosofsky. I must tell you, I was studying her. I was studying this writer, and I went deep, involved. And for me, you know what I was feeling? That my mind is a spaceship and the universe is there. So I got scared. I stopped reading her. She was finding erotica in the pronunciation of the letters. If you speak and pronounce certain words, do we have any sexual connection, sexuality, orientation, or reference with the words? Erotica, anal erotica, and all this writer. And I got scared. Why? Because I was like, no, I don't want to read this much. No, itna nahi padhna hai mujhe. Because a curiosity and a nervousness that, oh my God, she's dealing with homoerotic plots, homoerotic subplots. Next level. So when you go for PhD, go for her. Kabhi mauka mile to PhD जरूर करना. And thanks to my career in University of Delhi. अगर मैं दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में नहीं होता ना, मैं ये सब कभी नहीं पढ़ता. मैं नॉर्मल राइटर टीचर बन के रह जाता. Famous book. Let's go for the famous book by this writer. The famous book she has written is Epistemology of the Closet. Epistemology of the Closet. We are dealing with queer literature. We are dealing with queer literature. Now, this book is by 1990. After this, we have another author. The name of the another author we have is Jose Esteban Munoz. Esteban Munoz. I attended a conference on this writer. Munoz, Z. The famous work by this writer is Disidentifications. Disidentifications. And the timing of this work is 1994. These are famous queer study books. Don't forget this thing. And if you want to read another famous work by Judith Butler, she has written one more work. So you can add one more work by the same writer. In fact, recent work we had 2004 ka. You can write down one more work by Judith Butler. That's a famous 2004 work. Undoing Gender. Undoing Gender. 2004. These are some important concepts that I've given it to you. And in the next class, I will be talking about the authors who deal directly with literary theory concepts and terminology. Now, repeating once again, if you are watching it and you want to be prepared like these kind of concepts, that high level concepts, unknown concepts, because net is not dealing with basic British history, then go for proper classes. If you want to have great knowledge, a proper knowledge, so that you know what is PhD, what are those latest topics, what is post-humanism, what is digital humanism, what is transhumanism, the latest concept of studies, go for offline batch. And a suggestion, please mug up these writers. No need to go in the depth of these writers now. Once we are done with your exam, I will be teaching you all these things in detail. Right now, I have just picked up most important questions recently asked or which can be asked so that you can save marks and time in exam. Watch this video, share it with your friends, and those who are going to have more free classes on app, please download the app because my next classes will not be live here. The classes will be free for this August exam crash course, but that will be through app only. If you're not able to understand how to download the app, I'm going to post the link in the description. It is already there. I'll also post the link in the comment box. So comments में भी आप check कर सकते हो, but download the app because I cannot post all these high level classes regularly on YouTube. There are so many students who have exclusively joined batches for this thing. So I suggest you to be the part of the class through the app. Thank you so much.